Okay, stop. Before you say a single word, I need you to picture a Viking. Go on. Close your eyes for a second. What do you see? Big beard, fur cloak, massive axe, and two enormous curving horns on his helmet, right? Wrong. That never happened. Not once, not ever. No Viking in the history of the Norse world wore a horned helmet into battle. Not one confirmed archaeological find. Not one credible historical document. That image you have locked so perfectly in your brain. Someone put it there, and you accepted it without a single question. Here's what actually blows my mind, Clover Tribe. It's not just Vikings. It's Napoleon. It's Einstein. It's Columbus. These stories we all know about history. Many of them are completely, provably false. And the reason they survive isn't stupidity. It's something far more sinister. History isn't just written by the victors, it's sculpted by them. Myths get weaponized, lies get illustrated. And once an image is in your head, your brain will literally fight to protect it as real. Today we're pulling back the curtain on 8 historical events that never actually happened, ranked by how deep the lie goes. By the end of this video, you will never trust a textbook the same way again. Let's go! Number 8. And we're starting exactly where your brain went first. The horned Viking helmet. It's everywhere. Halloween costumes, NFL logos, movies, cartoons. And it is one of the most successful historical fabrications ever pulled off. Here's the thing. Archaeologists have found hundreds of Viking-era helmets. You know how many had horns? 0. The closest thing, one ceremonial helmet with small curved horns, dated back to the Bronze Age, over 1,000 years before the Vikings, used in religious rituals, never combat. So where did horned Vikings come from? One man, a Swedish artist named Gustav Malmström, who illustrated a poem in 1820. His dramatic, romanticized art showed Norse gods with horn-adorned helmets. Painters copied it, theatre adopted it, and by the time Wagner's operas hit the stage in the 1870s, European audiences were absolutely sold. Then Hollywood took it and ran. And your textbook? It never corrected you. The Vikings were actually terrifying raiders with simple iron nasal helmets. Functional, brutal, effective. But the lie looked cooler. And in history, Clover Tribe, cooler always wins. Number 7. And this one is so ingrained that people say it as a clinical term, Napoleon complex. A personality disorder named after a man who wasn't even short. Napoleon Bonaparte stood 5 feet 6 inches tall. In the late 1700s, that was above average for a Frenchman. He was literally taller than the median. So how did the short myth survive? 2 reasons, and they're brilliant in how they work together. First, British propaganda. While Napoleon was conquering Europe, British cartoonist James Gillray was drawing him as a tiny, furious man throwing tantrums in oversized military hats. Pure psychological warfare. And it worked magnificently. Britain pumped these images into the cultural bloodstream for decades. Second, a measurement problem. French inches were longer than British inches. Napoleon was listed as 5 feet 2 inches in French units, which the British press translated directly, without conversion, into British inches. Instant short man. The math literally lied. But here's what fascinates me most. Even after historians corrected the record, 200 years of correction, the myth has more traction today than it did in 1820. Because we love a story. Because the little angry emperor is a better character than the average height military genius. We don't want truth. We want narrative. And that, Clover Tribe, is exactly what the mythmakers counted on. Number 6. And this one is taught to children like sacred fact. Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. Except, no. He landed in the Bahamas. He never once set foot on the North American mainland. Not once in 4 voyages. And the land he did land on had somewhere between 50 and 100 million people already living there. Discovery implies there was no one home. There were 100 million people home. And Columbus wasn't even first. Norse explorer Leif Erikson reached the North American continent around 1000 AD. 492 years earlier. We have archaeological proof from a site in Newfoundland, Canada. So why do we celebrate Columbus Day and not Leif Erikson Day? Because in the 1930s, Italian-American communities lobbied fiercely to make Columbus, an Italian, a national American hero. Politics wrote history. Ethnicity wrote history. Columbus became the symbol not because of what he did, but because of who needed a hero. The discovery myth served an agenda, and when history serves an agenda, it rarely lets go. Number 5. And this one makes every struggling student feel a little better, which is exactly why it survived. Even Einstein failed math as a kid. It's plastered in motivational posters. Teachers say it, parents repeat it to comfort struggling children, and it is completely false. Einstein was extraordinary at math from early childhood. By age 12, he had mastered calculus on his own. By 15, he was working through advanced geometry. He never failed a math class. Where did the myth come from? Switzerland changed its grading scale in 1895. Einstein's highest grades, 6s, became the lowest under the new system. A confused biographer misread the flipped scale decades later and printed the mistake. The myth was born in a footnote. But here's the dark side. This myth, as comforting as it sounds, actually does quiet damage. Because when we tell kids, even geniuses fail, we accidentally remove the sting that motivates real improvement. The truth is harder and more useful. Einstein succeeded because he worked obsessively from an early age at the thing he loved most. That's not a consolation, that's a challenge. Number 4. And this one is taught in schools worldwide with absolute confidence. You can see the Great Wall of China from space with the naked eye. Astronauts have gone to space. Multiple astronauts have specifically looked for the Great Wall. The verdict? You cannot see it. At all. It's simply too narrow. The wall averages only about 15 to 30 feet wide. That's thinner than a major highway. And we don't claim highways are visible from orbit. Chinese astronaut Yang Liwei specifically looked for it during his 2003 spaceflight. He couldn't find it. He publicly admitted it and set off a national conversation in China about teaching myth as fact. So where did this myth start? A magazine called Ripley's Believe It or Not, in 1932, before humanity had ever been to space. They printed it as a fun, speculative claim. No science, no evidence, just vibes. And from there it found its way into encyclopedias, children's books, and classrooms globally. A 1932 magazine guess became a global truth, because once a fact sounds impressive enough, no one bothers to check it. Coming in at number 3. And the closer we get to the top, Clover Tribe, the darker the truth gets. George Washington's wooden teeth. Every American child learns this. It's practically adorable, the founding father with his little wooden chompers. Except his dentures were never wood, not even close. Washington's dentures, and he did have them from his 20s onward, were made from a horrifying combination of ivory from hippopotamus and elephant tusks, human teeth pulled from cadavers, and teeth extracted from his own enslaved people. Let that sit for a second. Historians have confirmed that Washington paid his enslaved workers for their extracted teeth, claiming it was for a dental experiment. But the payment was recorded in his own ledgers, and those teeth almost certainly ended up in his mouth. The wooden teeth myth is adorable. The real story is a window into the absolute power structure of the era. A founding father of liberty, literally built on the bodies of people he owned. The myth didn't survive because no one knew the truth. It survived because the truth was too damaging to the icon, and protecting the icon mattered more than history. This is an interesting one, number 2. We are almost at the top, and this one is one of the most perfectly constructed lies in all of recorded history. Let them eat cake. The callous words of Marie Antoinette as her people starved. The moment that defined aristocratic contempt for the poor. The phrase that encapsulates an entire era of inequality. She never said it. Not once. Not ever. The phrase first appeared in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's autobiography, written when Marie Antoinette was approximately 9 years old and living in Austria, thousands of miles from France. Rousseau attributed it to a great princess. He never named her. She was literally a child. After the French Revolution, the phrase needed a villain, and Marie Antoinette, already executed and unable to defend herself, became the perfect target. Propagandists attached the quote to her face, and her legend was sealed in amber. What historians actually know about the real Marie Antoinette? She donated extensively to the poor. She gave away large portions of her own budget to charity. When she heard people were struggling with bread prices, she publicly ordered the royal kitchens to lower expenses. The truth made her human. The lie made her a symbol. And symbols, Clover Tribe, are far more useful than people. And finally, we come to number 1. And this isn't an event. It's the biggest lie of all. Every single myth we've covered today, the Viking helmets, the Napoleon complex, the Columbus discovery, Einstein's failures, the Great Wall from space, Washington's wooden teeth, Marie Antoinette's cake. Every single one of them survived because we believe history is an objective record. We treat textbooks like cameras, like history just happened, and someone was there, took accurate notes, and filed them perfectly. But history is not a camera. History is a painter, and every painter has a patron. Every patron has an agenda. Every agenda has a winner and a loser. Think about it this way. 100 years from now, what will history say about right now? What will survive? The most accurate account? Or the most dramatic, most repeated, most politically useful one? The myths we just covered didn't slip through by accident. They were useful. The horned Viking was useful for romanticizing Nordic nationalism. The short Napoleon was useful for British psychological warfare. The Columbus discovery was useful for constructing American national identity. Washington's wooden teeth were useful for protecting the founding myth. History is a living thing. It bends under pressure. It gets rewritten. And the people doing the rewriting are always serving someone. The most radical thing you can do today isn't political protest. It's this: question what you were told was certain. So here's what I want to leave you with, Clover Tribe. Every single historical lie we uncovered today has one thing in common. Not stupidity, not even malice always. Just this: a story that served someone better than the truth did. Horned helmets made Norse culture seem mystical and otherworldly, useful for nationalism. Short Napoleon made an enemy seem diminished and unthreatening, useful for wartime morale. Columbus's discovery made a brutal colonial arrival feel like a heroic achievement, useful for building national mythology. Washington's wooden teeth kept a founding father human and quirky, useful for protecting an icon built on inequality. Marie Antoinette's cake kept the revolution's villains simple, useful for revolutionary politics. And Einstein's myth? That one might be the most telling of all. Because it wasn't imposed by governments or armies. We built that one ourselves. Because we desperately wanted a version of genius that let us off the hook. The question isn't just what false history you've been taught. The question is, what do you want to be true? And is that want making you vulnerable to believing lies? That's the real Mandela effect, not a glitch in the universe. It's a glitch in us. If this cracked something open in your brain, hit subscribe. The Clover Tribe runs on truth seekers just like you. Drop in the comments, which myth shocked you most? I genuinely want to know. I'm Willow, and until next time, trust primary sources over popular stories, and mind yourself. I'll see you in the next one.